Because, sometimes you just got to make light of it.
Right.
But we would actually have a list of those things, and the buyers, and with explaining during the buyer consultation, these are all risk. Every time you check a box, you add more risk to your purchase, but we want you to go in with, eyes wide open as to what you're walking into, and know that your competition is checking more and more of these boxes.
Mm-hmm.
So those offers that you're competing against, they're, the ones who are open to more risk are the ones who are more likely to get the house. So that was the conversation.
So did your operations team provide that list to your agents?
Yeah, that was, I think we came up with that as a team, and then we started putting that in their buyer presentation.
Okay. So how did you go about shifting into this new market? What did you change?
Well, I changed teams, so.
All right.
So I will tell you, the new team, though, is doing things a little bit differently. They work with a lot of new home builders, and new construction this is not a new tactic at all for new construction. This has been around for a long time, but it's one where the builder buys their current house and then puts them into the new house, and then the builder essentially sells that house that he now just owns. So basically a builder, it's a builder trade is what they call it. We're also doing a builder buy down, where the builder will buy down your rate, because that seems to be, as rates are kind of creeping up a little bit, and buyers are like, oh, I can't afford the house now. The builder can buy down the rate. And I don't know if you knew this, but VA loans, I don't believe that there's a cap now on 100% financing. Like with a VA loan, you used to only be able to get 100% financing up to a certain amount, and that was like 300,000, 400,000, something like that. They've eliminated that.
That's so interesting. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, most people don't.
I need to make sure my agents know that.
Yep. So
because we've been seeing a ton of FHA and a ton of VA, which the book touches on, and it's crazy what we're seeing now with that. Like, I haven't seen a VA or an FHA loan in, I feel like, a year. I haven't seen concessions in a year.
Yep. They're going to make a comeback. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun to see, though, because since I'm on the buy side, our buyers have been in the trenches forever, it feels like, and they just never get their way. And they're doing all of these options that you talked about on page 200 in column 1. It's saying, or in column 2, creative things buyers can do to purchase a home. So there's gifts, like you said, selling and refinancing existing assets. People were selling their cars. They were selling their vacation homes. They were selling everything to get funds. It was like kind of sad to see. They could do the non-occupant co-borrowers. They're using a 401k. So I've seen people cash those out, which is, in my opinion, some of these things are very challenging to talk about.
Oh, for sure.
With clients. Yep. And I would listen to these phone calls the agents were making, and I just cringing the whole time. But I think with hard conversations like this, it's the mindset you have around it. And when the agents were making those calls, if I was on the other end, of course I knew what they were really doing. But if I was on the other end, it wouldn't have felt like a cringy, icky call to me. So,
the one huge thing I think that operations can do right now for agents is scripts and role play.
Yes.
Because the agents really need to get comfortable saying these things to people. And it needs to sound professional. like they've said it a million times,
Mm-hmm.
and it's only going to sound that way when they practice. And
Right.
they need somebody to practice with.
Right.
Just their spouse. Yes, you can, but when you have it more in a professional work environment with someone who knows the industry and who knows some of the objections that are actually going to be said,
Mm-hmm.
I think that really, really helps the agents.
Yeah, I know our agents are held accountable to script 10 times a week. And of course, you want to practice on your people. You don't want to practice on your clients because you don't want it to sound awkward. You don't want it to sound weird or uncomfortable. And yeah, operations people are a great target for script practice. So I know I script with a few agents, just posing difficult situations that they have to talk me through. And it's nice for us to give feedback to them, like, hey, that kind of made me feel weird. Maybe you can phrase it a different way, and then they can talk through it. So yeah, it's super valuable. I agree.
One idea that I had from reading this chapter, you were talking about gamifying earlier, and we're talking now about education for our agents. When I used to do new agent onboarding and training, one fun thing that we used to do that helped the agents learn really quickly is create scenarios of contracts for buyers and sellers and make them write offers or counter offers based on those situations. And I think that that's helpful for a shifting market when they're readjusting their knowledge and how they operate in that market, is to make them practice those scenarios. You have a buyer with X amount of funds looking in this area or whatever that looks like, but make it shifted for them and help them practice those scenarios that they get into.
Yeah, I really like that. Did you have that already built into your onboarding? That's actually something new we're starting to do with new agents.
Yes, so we did a new agent boot camp, and that was built into our boot camp for new agents.
That's awesome. It's been really interesting to see, like, because we just pull up past transactions and we look at what our winning offer was, and then we kind of assess like how close that new agent got to writing a winning offer. It's really
if you have a lead agent, sometimes it's even helpful for that lead agent, that rainmaker that's really busy, to use their live scenarios in that boot camp. If they have a listing, make those agents pull comps. If they have a buyer, make them practice writing offers and gather new ideas for it. That becomes really helpful. And we're talking specifically about financing. So just give them unique financing situations and help them to learn these unique options. One other thing that I was going to mention, not on the gamifying end, but double down on your relationships with your lenders. Invite them in for lunches, for team meetings, to Zoom in, whatever that looks like. I know currently where I hang my license, I have a lender that emails me, one of our preferred partners, weekly to give me updates. Find ask your lender to do that. If they're your preferred partner, I'm sure they're more than willing to keep your agents updated on a weekly basis of what's happening in the now.
I agree. I had that written down as well. I put lunch and learn opportunities next to lenders, because lenders are they're very competitive, because it's a very competitive field, and one lender's always offering something unique to one other lender. So not only is it important to know what each lender in your area offers, because then you can get more creative with your financing options, but it's important to invite them in and learn all about them and what they have to offer. And a lot of the time they'll bring lunch, which is a perk for us. So lunch and learn is really easy to do. Typically, we just have them come in during our team meeting on Monday. We give them like 15 minutes. They give us the whole spiel. They pass out little pamphlets of what they offer, and then we keep their business cards. And like your preferred lender does, Brooke, ours also, we have a ton of lenders that are like, the shifting market or the market in a minute. And we get all of those emails. So it's nice too, because they're giving us that information. We don't have to dig for it. Is there anything else you guys want to chat about when it comes to creative financing? Those are kind of
Just a question about that. I would love, I'm new to the industry, like 6 months in, so I don't know how long I can use that tagline. But so I'm learning a lot from these calls and also with working with the team. If you can speak a little bit more about the education side of it, because I'm noticing in our team meetings and in the conversations with agents, that's where they've been focusing. It's not formalized from an operations standpoint, but a lot of conversations about the different types of deals that we're working with, and also how they can negotiate those deals. So I think everything that Brooke and Elizabeth shared is what we're doing informally, but there's no system in place. But I want to hear more about the education piece, because I think that's the main level that would be helpful to my team. Like how I love the role playing, just formalizing that and sharing scripts, which we do as well. But what are other ways that we can educate the team baseline on types of creative financing, in addition to partnering with lenders and having them come in and teach? So that's a question.
We've been essentially inviting guest speakers as well, even other agents in other markets, not in ours. So if your rainmaker is a good networker and probably knows agents in other parts of the country that you can use in your part of the country, that's been helpful too, because I will say someone else speaking even on the same topic that your rainmaker has already been speaking on, it helps to hear it from a fresh face and a fresh voice. Because I think it just reiterates the message, and they tend to say it just a little bit differently. So even though, the agents have heard it before, they may go, oh, she said it in such a way that like, I really get it now. And which is so frustrating, because I'm like, I've been saying that the whole time.
I know.
But they it really sinks in when somebody else says it, because it just, that particular wording resonated with them. So that's been really helpful too, is just having a guest agent, and even agents, buyers agents that are winning, if they're selling 50 or 60 transactions a year on the buy side, that's a lot. Who can you get in just to come in and speak for 20 or 30 minutes on their tactics for being successful, and putting some role models in front of your agents can be really helpful.
That's good. Thank you.
I was going to say, we build in a portion of our team meeting to like one big open forum collaboration, like what's been working for you to get offers accepted, what's been working for you to get homes sold. So we'll collaborate a lot of the time as a team, so that we can use, the same tactics that are working, like Elizabeth said, to get those things done. So we built that in, like we do about 10 minutes per team meeting to talk about that and collaborate. We write it all out, and then an admin will take notes, and then we send it out.
For a long time too, we were doing, anytime one of our agents wrote an offer, they would present that offer at the team meeting to say, this is the offer we submitted, and this is what actually got accepted on the other side, so that we could kind of learn from that as well. And then from the listing side, we would say, these are all of the offers that we got. This is the one that we ultimately chose, and here's why. So even just discussing amongst the team what we were doing and seeing weekly was helpful.
Yeah, that's so good, because our last meeting this week, that was the point of the main takeaway is your highest offer, the most money, is not always the best offer. And they went in for like 10 minutes just talking about that specific deal. So I love that example, pulling deals that we're already familiar with, and then using that as an example to have those conversations. So thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
And maybe for right now, if you don't have time during your team meeting, maybe the agents can meet separately in a sales meeting or something like that, where they can just talk all strategy. That'd be I know our team does that.
And also on a more frequent basis, if you have a team communication channel like Slack or group text, whatever that is, encourage them to post their wins like that, or their
Mhm.
problems and what they need help with, because that helps educate everyone to have that one person drop their win or their struggle and mastermind on it just in a group chat.
And it's really important to keep those going because things change so fast. And you can tell when an agent has not been having these conversations because you always have that one agent on the team that's still doing things from the past that you don't need to do anymore in order to get your offer accepted. So those types of things are really important. It makes me cringe when a buyer's offering like $20,000 appraisal gap when that's not necessary anymore. So yeah, very important to have your agents in on that as much as possible. So like Brooke said, if it's a group chat or a Slack channel, those pop up on their phone and they can see that live.
That's so good.
That might be the best way.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, oh geez, we have 9 minutes to talk about short sales, foreclosures, and REOs. I did my first short sale, let me think, probably 3 years ago, and it was a very eye-opening experience. And I think from that experience and reading this chapter, I was kind of coming at it from a emotional point of view because it's a very emotional experience for people. And a lot of the time they're going through one of the hardest times of their lives. And I had no idea about this until I did that deal. So not only is it a taxing process from a transactional point of view, but it's a taxing process for that person. And so I was kind of looking through the empathetic lens as I read through this tactic. There's a quote, let me go to the page on 223. I really like how it says the game of life is not so much in holding a good hand as playing a poor hand well. You know, we get dealt the hand we get dealt. And how are we going to have a better mindset around that? And how are we going to stay winning even if we're going through a hard time or our seller or clients are going through a hard time? A lot of these are helping sellers through very difficult financial times. We have the ability to impact many lives from individuals to families to institutions. So I think it's important when we're talking about these as a team, we don't talk about them from a negative point of view. We talk about them from a point of view where how can we impact the most lives as we're all going through this downward cycle of the real estate market. That really stood out to me. Forms, processes, and procedures are required to work from one end of the transaction to another. So we haven't seen a lot of foreclosures or short sales or REOs in a long time. And are our systems up to date to handle those? I know ours aren't. So this was very eye-opening for me. How is everyone preparing for facing short sales, foreclosures, and REOs systematically? Has anyone started building those out, or do you have them from the past?
We never did. My previous team went through the down market, and because short sales do take so much diligence,
Yes.
We referred them out. Like we were like, that's not in our wheelhouse. And when we come across them, and we did, we referred them out to an agent who was well prepared to handle those and just accepted the referral fees.
Right.
I think knowing that if, that's a decision, a business decision that the rainmaker made. So make that decision first.
Yes.
Don't just think I'm just going to wing it and see what happens. And when we get one, we'll learn on that one. If your team hasn't done short sales and you decide that it's worth the money to do short sales, figure it out now. I don't think we're going to see a lot of them, to be honest, because lending practices have gotten to such a place where, It used to be if you fog a mirror, you could buy a house, and they weren't really checking your assets, and they weren't really checking if you had the money or if you could even make the monthly payment.
Right.
And so we're not seeing people default as much. And so I think we won't see as many with that short sales. Foreclosures may be coming. What I have heard, I don't know how accurate this is. What I've heard is that people who are defaulting on their loans right now, like they're missing payments, the mortgage companies are not being as diligent in following up with them about, hey, you're late, hey, you're late, hey, you're late. Instead, they are telling appraisers to just do a drive-by appraisal. Take a pic, like don't let the homeowner know you're there because there's equity tied up in the house. And if the house goes into foreclosure, the homeowner doesn't get the equity. Like it doesn't just go right back to the homeowner.
Right.
It goes to the lender. And if the lender doesn't notify you, hey, you could have sold this property and gotten your equity out, they don't know that. So this is a moment in time where you may have to make a marketing campaign as part of your back-end operations to get them those types of messages out of, if you've missed a house payment and you're like concerned, this is a good time to be talking to a real estate agent because you probably have equity in your house that you deserve and can cash out. So
yeah. I really like how you touched on the topic of deciding as a team, or your rainmaker deciding if you're going to do this or not, because this chapter talks a lot about how if you're not ready and you're not prepared, people are going to read right through it and they're just going to go on to the next agent and you're losing out on a ton of business. Now, if you decide that your team's going to do this and really specialize in it, it's a huge untapped market because these asset managers are looking for one agent or a small group of agents that specialize in this and that they're reliable, and they'll just send you hundreds and hundreds of deals. But it's important to know if this is in your wheelhouse or not, or if you want to dedicate the time, or who are you going to refer these out to. I think that's important. If you're going the way of, no, we're not going to take this on. Okay, now we need to search for a referral partner who we can rely on that will get those deals to the closing table.
And if you decide you do want to do it, go find someone who is around during this downshift and go learn from them now. What were you guys doing? If I want to take this on, if this is going to be a thing, what does that look like? Go find those people and then go get into business relationship with those asset managers. It's going to take a lot of phone calls on behalf of your rainmaker to find them and get to the right person. But if that's something that you make a business decision to do, then yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I must say the pages in this chapter that tell you what you'll need for a short sale were already a very helpful baby step. I remember when I did one, my agent was like, well, I don't know how to do this, but we're going to list this woman's home. So here you go. And it was like, here's your gift. You get to figure out how to go through a short sale. It was hell. And it took 7 months to close. So, it's not for the faint of heart. But we only have 1 minute left. So there's a couple quotes that stood out that I really liked. So, fortune favors the prepared and luck is when preparation meets opportunity. This is very time consuming, yet very rewarding. And it's time to get able, get ready, and get willing. And that's all I have for you guys today.
Mic drop.
Mic drop. Brooke mentioned in the chat, we do now have a class. So shift into opportunity as an ops boss. So there's an Eventbrite link in there that you can sign up for. If you have any questions on that, let us know. And then also Me and Elizabeth, we are group coaches with Ops Boss Coaching. We talk about this stuff all the time in our group coaching calls. So if you are interested in signing up for group coaching or elite one-on-one coaching, let us know and we'll get you set up. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining me today. We only have 2 book clubs left, so make sure you join us for those. Next time, Elizabeth is actually leading the call. I will be at an admin advance. So we look forward to seeing you guys the next 2 times, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.